in the heart of a sprawling city. Amidst towering skyscrapers and busy streets, lay a small, tight-knit neighborhood that felt like a world of its own. It was in this modest but vibrant community that 8-year-old Mia Thompson lived with her single mother, Angela. Their tiny apartment was a haven of warmth, its walls adorned with Mia's colorful drawings and shelves lined with books they had read together countless times. The small kitchen often smelled of Angela's home-cooked meals, and it was where they spent precious evenings cooking, laughing, and sharing stories. Mia was a bright-eyed, curious little girl with a big heart and an even bigger smile. Her dark, curly hair framed her round face, bouncing as she skipped along the streets or played with friends in the neighborhood. Her laugh was contagious, a melody that lightened the days of everyone who heard it. Angela worked tirelessly as a waitress at a local diner, doing everything she could to provide for Mia and give her the life she deserved. Despite their modest means, Angela ensured their home was filled with love and encouragement. One sunny afternoon, as the school bell rang to mark the end of another day, Mia bounded out of her classroom with her usual enthusiasm. Her backpack bounced on her shoulders as she made her way to the park nearby, a small green oasis she loved. The park was her escape, where she climbed trees, played tag with friends, and imagined herself as the heroine of countless adventures. As she skipped along the familiar path to her favorite swings, her eyes caught sight of something unusual. Sitting alone on a bench near the playground was an older man. His clothes were faded and worn, his beard unkempt, and his shoulders hunched as if carrying the weight of the world. He seemed lost in thought, his eyes cast downward. From the distance, Mia noticed how people walked by without sparing him a glance. As if he were invisible, Mia paused, her young heart tightening at the sight. She had never seen him before, and something about the sadness in his expression pulled at her. She stood still, torn between shyness and an instinctive urge to help. Then, hearing the faint growl of his stomach, her decision was made. Digging into her backpack, she pulled out the peanut butter and jelly sandwich her mother had packed for her afternoon snack. It was her favorite. Angela always made it just right, with the perfect balance of sweetness and crunch. Mia glanced at the sandwich, then back at the man. Without hesitation, she took a deep breath and approached him. "Excuse me, sir," she said softly, her small voice trembling slightly. The man looked up, startled, his tired blue eyes meeting hers. For a moment, there was only silence between them as he processed her presence. "Yes, little one," he rasped, his voice rough, as if he hadn't spoken in days. Mia held out the sandwich, her tiny hands steady. "I thought you might be hungry. Would you like my sandwich?" The man blinked, his expression shifting from surprise to disbelief. His eyes moved from Mia's earnest face to the sandwich and back again. "That's very kind of you," he said finally, his voice thick with emotion. "But don't you need it, dear? I already had a big lunch." Mia lied, her determination unwavering. "Please, take it. My mom always says sharing is caring." The man hesitated for a moment before slowly reaching out and taking the sandwich. "Thank you," he said, his voice trembling. "What's your name?" "Mia," she replied with a bright smile. "What's yours?" "John," he answered, unwrapping the sandwich with reverence. "Mia, you've just made my day a whole lot better." Mia sat beside him, her legs swinging above the ground as they talked. Their conversation was simple. John told her he was going through a rough time and didn't have a place to stay. Mia, with the unfiltered honesty of a child, asked why people didn't help him. John smiled, his expression tinged with sadness and hope. "Sometimes people forget how to see each other," he said, "but kindness like yours reminds me there's still good in the world." As the sun dipped lower in the sky, Mia stood to leave. "Will you be okay, John?" she asked, her brown eyes filled with concern. "I'll be better now, thanks to you," John replied, his tired face softening into a warm smile. Mia waved goodbye, skipping home with a lightness in her step, eager to tell her mother about the new friend she had made. But as she recounted the story that evening, Angela's face shifted from pride to concern. "Mia, honey," Angela said gently, kneeling to her daughter's level. "It was very kind of you to share your sandwich. But you have to be careful. Not everyone in the world is as kind as you are." "But Mom, John wasn't scary," Mia protested. "He was just hungry and sad." Angela sighed, pulling Mia into a hug. "I know, sweetheart. And I'm so proud of you for being kind. But next time, if you want to help someone, come tell me first. Okay, Mia nodded, though she didn't fully understand. To her, kindness didn't need conditions or boundaries. It was simple: if someone needed help, you helped them. That night, as Angela tucked Mia into bed, she sat on the edge of the mattress, stroking her daughter's curls. You have a big heart, Mia, she said softly, and that's one of the most beautiful things about you. Just promise me you'll let me help you help others. I promise, Mommy, Mia murmured, her eyes fluttering closed. Angela kissed her forehead and whispered a silent prayer for John, for her daughter, and for the world that often seemed so harsh. Little did she know, Mia's small act of kindness had set into motion events that would change their lives forever. A turning point. The next morning, as Angela and Mia sat down for breakfast, a knock at the door interrupted their peaceful routine. Angela opened it to find 2 police officers standing in the hallway, their expressions serious. Good morning, Mom, one officer began. We're looking for Mia Thompson. We need to ask her a few questions about a man she met in the park yesterday. Angela's heart raced as she invited the officers inside. She called Mia over, holding her close as the officers explained that John had been found unconscious in the park later that evening. He was now in the hospital, recovering, but unable to recall how he had ended up there. As Mia described her encounter with John, the officers exchanged meaningful glances. One of them finally spoke. Mrs. Thompson, your daughter's kindness may have saved this man's life. He's recovering now, and we've identified him. His real name is Jonathan Caldwell, and he's been missing for over a year. Angela was stunned. Jonathan Caldwell wasn't just any man, he was the son of a prominent family in New York. His family had been searching for him tirelessly since his sudden disappearance. They had feared the worst. But Mia's simple act of sharing a sandwich had brought him back into their lives.